here together tonight, some of us can find some measure of that and leave with a little bit more wholeness and inner peace than we had when we walked in the door to the synagogue tonight. We're going to begin with the singing of Hine Ma Tov, which can be found on page 10.
Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
So I want to offer a special welcome to Katerina. We know this is not your first time with us, but it's the first time that you and I have both been here on a Friday night. Normally I see you on Shabbat morning. So it's totally okay if your response is thanks, but no thanks. Would you like to light the Shabbat candles tonight? We'll wait until that special time. All right, so we're going to continue on. Well, why don't you come on up and read the English, and then you could be with me as we light the candles and say the blessing together, okay?
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us in acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to continue now on page 6. Let's join together responsively in the middle of the page. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May the synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
On page 10, we are going to continue with the singing of Ma Yafeh Hayom. How beautiful is today, and we wish each other a Sabbath of peace.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to do service 2 tonight, which means we're going to flip forward to page 146. And I'm going to ask everyone who is able to please rise as we open the ark for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Ba'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Ba'ed.
Please be seated. We're going to continue on page 147 tonight. Let's join together in English with our blessing for creation. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you, and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMa'ariv Aravim. So this idea that we just read here, second line from the bottom, this idea that we are co-workers with God, that we are God's partners in the creation, in the ongoing, I should say, the ongoing creation of this world. We see it in medical technology, we see it in mechanical technology, we see it in all kinds of creations that human beings make, with the wisdom that people are giving, with the creativity that people exhibit, with new music that's written, right? These are gifts that we got from God, that individuals received, and then took these gifts and did something with them. And when we take our gifts and use them for the good and in a positive way, then everybody benefits. But when an individual takes the gifts that God gave them and uses them for evil, to harm others, to incite others, then it's not good. It's not beautiful. And we all suffer the consequences. And I will honestly say that one of the things that frightens me more and more is I see people globally who seem to have taken their God-given intellect, our conscience, our ability to feel, to reason, to be compassionate. And in my humble opinion, they've taken a left turn someplace, and they're going the wrong direction. I'll say a bit more about that in my remarks later, but I'll just say this briefly now. We have 2 members of our congregation who are students at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And there was a pro-Gaza protest there, and there was the inverted red triangle, which apparently is using to be a symbol for support of Hamas. And so I reached out to our 2 congregants who were there and their parents to check in with them. And one of the students said, you know, how depressing it is to see this. And I acknowledge that, yes, that's true. And that person is going to be tonight with Jewish people. This person's connected with Chabad and Hillel, which is great, so that they can be together. But that's one example on one campus, but it's happening in so many places where I just don't understand how people who are born inherently good and pure and can align with an organization that is abominable. And so those words really spoke to me this evening, because we have a responsibility that we are partners with God, we are co-workers. God put this world in motion, but we are here to continue and to carry on. And we have responsibilities to others. And so it's disturbing. And I would guess I'm not the only one who finds some of what we're witnessing and living through today to be painful and disturbing, and perhaps for some, myself included, scary. So on 148, we're going to sing Ahavat Olam, which reminds us of God's love for us, and that through the gift of Torah is one of the ways that God shared or showed, expressed love for us. The Torah is filled with a lot of good values and a lot of ethics and instructions for leading a life filled with justice. And for that, I am grateful that the Torah is ours. It really belongs to everyone, honestly, regardless of faith tradition, especially Jews and Christians. But the 5 books of the Bible has a lot of wisdom for all of us to benefit from. So Aviv, I invite you to lead us in this singing.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha, mitzvotecha le'olam ba'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olami, Baruch ata Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael.
Thank you, Aviv. I invite everyone to rise for Shema Yisrael, the watchword of our faith.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated as we join together in the chanting of V'ahavta, page 150.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha ובכל נפשך, ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
So those of us who are here regularly know that there's a certain rubric to our prayer service. It's the keva of our service, the structure of our service. And then, of course, there's the kavanah, the intention that we bring to it, let's say the emotional, the spiritual part of the service. And as we come to Michamocha, obviously this is one of the blessings that we say every time that we're together, morning or evening. And why is Michamocha one of them? Because our religion has 3 pillars, right? We have creation, we have redemption, and revelation. Creation, of course, is the creation of the world. Redemption was another big one for us when we became a people, when we went forth out of Egypt to get the 10 Commandments. And then, of course, revelation, as I just said, we were given the Torah. And so Michamocha is one of those pivotal prayers that we recite because it reminds us that how important that our delivery, our freedom was to our ancestors, continues to be for us as Jews, and I would say continues to be for us as human beings. The gift of freedom is truly a gift. And when we've had our whole life being free, the truth is we don't always appreciate it as much because it's just what we've known. But when we see freedoms slipping away, it's then when we realize how fortunate we've been. And it's then that we realized how freedom is truly, truly a gift. It's a gift fighting for, putting our energy, our efforts, our financial resources behind, because without freedom, you finish the sentence. Michamocha 152.
Michamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha Ne'edar B'Kodesh, Norah Tehilot Osefele, Malchutecha Ra'u Vanecha, Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam, Ze'eli Anu Ve'amru, Adonai Lo Le'olam Va'ed.
Page 153. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim, ufros alenu sukat shlomecha, ותקנינו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך. Let's join together in English. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We continue on 154 with Vishamru, specific for Shabbat.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael ot hi leolam ot hi leolam Beshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
We continue now on page 155 with the Amidah. I ask the congregation to please rise as we open the ark.
Adonai sifratai tiftach ufiyai tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Vezocher Vastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umeviru Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mauri Atah, של חיים וחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולי, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהדות הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Page 160. Let's join together in the middle of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh ha-Shabbat. We're going to continue now with our prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, which can be found on page 164. And as we pray for peace, I want to acknowledge that that this week we know in Lebanon that members of the terrorist group Hezbollah were killed. And I want to say that some innocent people were also injured. And that's the tragedy of war. We can ask, is peace the opposite of war? Perhaps yes. Perhaps it's something else. But I do want to acknowledge that when a country, and I'm speaking right now about Israel, needs to protect her citizens, there are about 90,000 Israelis who live up north who have been out of their homes for 11 months. That says nothing about the people in the south. And we know that these terrorists were involved in the death of, is it 12 or 13 young children who were playing soccer. And it doesn't matter their religion, they just happen not to be Jewish, but we still mourn their loss. War is ugly, war is painful, and unfortunately sometimes it's necessary to protect and try to preserve what one has. I have a bit of a heavy heart tonight, and maybe this is a good time for us to sing Shalom Rav as we keep that hope, that tikva, that hope for peace alive.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov ve'elecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם.
We now think about our loved ones who are in need of prayers tonight for healing, healing of body, mind, spirit, soul. Our prayers are with David Rosenberg, Franz Gall, Gerald Barron, Wes Gersh, Paul Tackett, Judy Yesowitz, Rebecca Green, Faith Fugit, Diane Levine, Chassia Haberman, Adam Carrico, the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces, the hostages who have been held in Gaza for 349 days, the Israelis who continue to be displaced from their homes because of daily missile and rocket attacks from multiple fronts, and the Palestinians who are suffering, and those in Lebanon because of the war started by Hamas that now continues between Hamas, Israel, and Hezbollah. If you'd like to add the name of your loved ones at this time, feel free to do so as my eyes meet yours.
Lev Dickerman, David Shapiro.
We ask that God bring healing to our loved ones, give them strength, give them hope, give them health, and let us remember them and do what we can to support them during their time of need. Our Mishnah Berach prayer for healing can be found in the middle of page 253.
Mi shebeirach avoteinu mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu kor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue silently with Tefillat Halev, the prayers of our own heart.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
This week's Torah portion is Ki Tavo, meaning when you enter, when you come into the land that God is giving you, meaning the land of Israel. And there's the phrase that says, when you enter the land that the Lord your God is giving you as a heritage, and you possess it and settle in it, you shall take some of every first fruit of the soil which you harvest from the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Put it in a basket and go to the place where the Lord your God will choose to establish God's name. You shall go to the priest in charge at that time and say to him, I acknowledge this day before the Lord your God that I have entered the land that the Lord swore to our fathers, and I will add mothers, to assign us. The priest will then take the basket and set it down in front of the altar of the Lord your God. So this part of the parasha is talking about that when you have a new crop each year, the first fruit, but we don't eat it, we don't partake of it, we give it, right? We bring it to the place that's proscribed. Initially, there were multiple places. Eventually, it became Jerusalem. But we give our food to the Levites, or the Kohanim, the priests, the Levites as well, to the poor, to the orphan, to the widow, that they may have something to eat. And the land of Israel, as we read through the Torah, we know it's called the land of milk and honey. We know that it has some beautiful fruit. It has pomegranates, it has dates, it has waters, it has mountains, it has desert. It's this land that God promises to Abraham and then Isaac and Jacob. And for us, it's been a place that we have looked to as this spiritual center, a place where many, many Jews travel to, and non-Jews as well. I mean, we know that Jerusalem is the holy site of the three Abrahamic traditions, faiths. We know Baha'i have their world headquarters, their world center in Haifa. Israel has meaning for many people around the world. There's no doubt about that. And it was seen as this gift, this beautiful gift. And I remember as a kid growing up, because my whole life and your whole lives, there's been struggles in Israel. And when there was the gas shortage in the 70s, people would say, oh, if only Moses had turned right instead of left, you know, like we would have had the oil, and et cetera. We've heard it said that Israel's a great country in a bad neighborhood. But, you know, somehow Israel, I may say we because I feel connected to the place too. I'm not an Israeli citizen, I'll make that clear. I volunteered in a program in the Israeli army, but clearly I never defended army, never, defended Israel. But I think a lot of Jews feel a connection to Israel, whether they have been there or hope to go there one day or don't want to travel there. But today we know it's such a huge dividing point, not only for people around the world or in this country, but even among Jews. This place that was the promised land, right, has really led to so much division and pain and violence. And I saw a photo that it was from September 3rd. It was a few days after school on the East Coast went back to college, because that's when, on the East Coast, you go back on the first, after Labor Day, put it that way. And they were holding this big banner. There was another big protest, a big sign, and it said, "Long live the Intifada," and it also said, "Globalize the Intifada." And I thought to myself, these people really don't understand what they're really, really saying. And I don't mean that in a demeaning sort of way. I say that as a person who lived 1 year in Jerusalem during the Second Intifada. It was much more advanced than the First Intifada. I was in Israel because that year I was there the summer of 2001 to the summer of 2002. And that summer, there's always thousands of kids in Israel, high school kids with all different groups they come, of all different stripes of Judaism. And I'm talking about the summer tours. Obviously, there's always many people who come to Israel, but I'm speaking tonight from a Jewish perspective. That all the summer programs were canceled, which really hurt Israel financially, economically. Restaurants were closing, stores were going out of business. Why? And that's just part of the economic pain that Israel suffered, because there were constant suicide bombers, mostly in Jerusalem, but not only. Buses were blowing up. I remember the day Sbarro blew up. And I'll never forget that day, because we had finished our Ulpan, our intensive Hebrew program, and we went to the beach. And for those who have been to Israel, you know that wherever you go, even when it's more peaceful times, more quiet times, you always have at least one, depending on the size of your group, more than one, guard with you, with the gun to protect you. It's common. You're used to it. You become used to it, unfortunately. And it just so happened that the person who that day was our guard was someone that I had met years earlier when I was leading a Nifty in Israel tour, which I did several times years ago. And we sat together on the bus and, catching up. And today he's a Reform rabbi, an Israeli rabbi. My friend, who grew up in New Jersey, who made Aliyah shortly after college and who's been there ever since, called me to tell me that Sbarro, which is, it was right on the corner of King David and King George and Rehov Haifa, right there on the intersection between Jaffa Street and King David, right in the heart of downtown Jerusalem. And my friend Ezzy, the panic on his face, in his body, trying to reach his wife to see that his kids were safe, that she was alive, that the kids were safe. And what happens, every time there's a pigua, every time there's a bomb, the cell phone lines are busy because everybody's calling. And the panic and the panic and the waiting and the waiting, and it felt like it went on for hours. And finally he reached Avigail. She was safe. They were found out that all the kids were safe, all 4 of them. But that panic that I lived through next to him, I will never forget. We were a group of 67 between rabbinic, cantorial, and education students. and I was one of the phone team captains. And every time there was a bomb, we'd get a call, start your phone tree. And until we found out that all 67 were accounted for, we held our breath. I, by design, wanted an Israeli roommate. I'd been to Israel a lot. I speak Hebrew. I didn't really want to live with a rabbinic student. So on Saturday night, we know the buses stopped running in Jerusalem. At one time, everything stopped in Jerusalem. Now there are places that are open on Shabbat. But Saturday night is when Jerusalem comes alive. Well, what happened? On Rehov Ben Yehuda, the pedestrian walkway with all the shops, also right in the heart of downtown Jerusalem, on this walkway, people are out, eating, restaurants, drinking, ice cream, whatever, a pigua, a bomb. And then, as so often was the case, the second one is set because they know rescuers will come, and the second one is detonated. So again, the panic. Are all 67 alive, and is my roommate alive? My roommate's out and about. Thank God everybody was. Another example. Sometimes we'd have briefings, and they'd say, don't go downtown today. And I wouldn't go downtown. But a lot of time, we didn't have a daily briefing. When the Army knew of something, they let us know. And even though, every day attacks were foiled. Even though a lot occurred, it was minimal relative to the amount of attempts, but there was still a lot. So I remember CCAR convention that year was in Israel. Every 7 years it's in Israel. So all these rabbis came to town from all over the United States and Canada. Those who know where Emek Rephaim, it's a part of town. It's also the name of a street, but also restaurants, cafes. And a bunch of American rabbis were having lunch at a restaurant, and a suicide bomber ran in. Now, by this point, you had a few extra shekels, which nobody minded, on your bill, because to help cover the cost of the guards that were out front. But they caught him. But that was scary for a lot of people. They went out for lunch. Thank God he was caught before he detonated, but that was real. So the night of the closing ceremony of the CCAR convention, we were all at the hotel where it was being held. Thank God we were there. Why? Because there was a cafe called Moment. It means moment. It was a cafe / bar. It was a coffee shop / bar. People went there all the time. People that belonged to the gym where I went, some worked there. And it's right across from the Prime Minister's residence. And there was a pigua. And it was start your phone chain. And I can't help but believe if it wasn't for the CCAR convention, some of my classmates, perhaps me, would have been there that night. It was a regular place we went. But the next morning, there was this sign in front of the bombed restaurant, gathering place. Bochim, 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 aval mamshichim hala. We were crying, 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 but we're continuing forward. I remember there was email at that time, and I had a group list, and whenever a bomb went off, I would send it, I'm okay. And one time I didn't realize it because, you just go on. That's what you do, right? Mamshichim hala. You continue onward, forward. And I wrote in one of my texts, blah, 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 I'm okay, da, 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 and later today I'm going to see Shrek at the movies. And it wasn't until my aunt wrote me back, and she's like, you're going to go to the movies after a bomb attack? And it just hit me, and I've been to Israel many times, so it wasn't my first time in Israel. But it was like, oh yeah, like, that's when I stopped and I realized like I too had been accustomed. This happens. You don't know when or where. And there were many days. It's like, well, do I take the bus to school? Do I walk to school? Do I take a cab? Because every time you get on a bus, it's a risk, right? Like you know, again, if we were told, don't go here, don't go there, I listened. But other times you're trying to follow your own instinct to figure out what to do. And we were told, if there is a bomb, you go the other way. And I can tell you with certainty, for those of you who know the open-air market where you can get pita and vegetables and all kinds of great food and fruit, Machane Yehuda, place I went regularly. In the past, I hadn't gone there at all because it didn't feel safe. But one day, it was a Friday, I walked through, kind of quickly, not through all of it, but I was trying to get where I needed to go quickly, and 2 hours later, there was a bomb right before Shabbat at Machane Yehuda. There was a street corner that I still know where I was. And that same day, a couple hours later, someone blew themselves up. I mean, it was like you didn't know, it was like our worlds were shrinking. So one day, I'm downtown, I had a doctor's appointment. And every time you'd hear this loud boom, I would always hope, oh, I hope a crane fell on a construction site, because there's always a lot of construction in Jerusalem. And then you hear, woo, 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 and it's like, oh gosh. So you know it's not, you know it happened somewhere. So people start come running out of shops, you know, and everyone, almost everyone, not everyone, most had been in the army, this and that, you know, and people are hurt. I mean, I know you're told go the other way, but you have people you see that need help. And so I still have that vision in my mind. So it's not natural to walk the other way, so I didn't. And eventually I made my way to the doctor, and I guess I looked kind of dazed, and anyway, I tried to, again, the phone lines were busy. I tried to call my friend Stu, the one that I told you about earlier. He was frustrated. He lived in Jerusalem but did not work there, and there were these checkpoints constantly along the way to get there because you had to check, right? Who's in the trunk of your car, right? I mean, it's not just getting from the West Bank into Israel, it's also within Israel. And he was so frustrated, and I said to him, look, I will listen to you every day, but is there a way that you can take this anger, this frustration, and turn it into something positive? So he did on the street, Emek Rafayim, where the restaurants were, as I said, restaurants were empty. People weren't going out. They were afraid to let their kids play soccer, et cetera, et cetera. He had organized, he called it Take Back the Night. So there was this one night, the media was scheduled to be there, and the idea was people go at 7 o'clock and go to the restaurants and get these restaurants filled up so people can make a living. Well, here I am. It's the same day that I'm downtown, like 2 miles away, if that, this bomb blows up. So I reached Stu. He's like, I'm coming back to Jerusalem. I reached finally one of my college, my rabbinic school classmates, and she walks and I walk, and we meet each other. She had been a social work previously, and anyway, we walked back together. I was kind of dazed, but okay. And then the question is, are you going to go tonight? And I said, yeah, I'm going. Like Dafka, like despite this, like on purpose, I'm going to this event. And sadly, there were 11 people who showed up, which I understand, right? There was a bomb downtown Jerusalem. And 3 had just arrived from Israel, and they were relatives of someone who was there. So the Jerusalem Post was there, and so the owner of the restaurant was so happy we were there, because besides us, there was one table with 2 people at it. The rest of it was empty, like every other restaurant. And he opened a bottle of wine. He was so grateful we were there. And the heading said, and I have it framed, someone made it for me, it says, L'chaim, to life as usual. You know, and there we are, we're toasting. So why am I sharing this with you? And then, why am I sharing this with you? Because that's some of what an intifada is. I was not bodily harmed. I did not lose a loved one. But the day that I was downtown, someone that worked at HUC, his niece was pregnant, and they just found out they were having twins. And they went to the jewelry store. The husband was buying her a piece of jewelry. That was it. They both were killed that day. And there's so, everybody knows someone who. And so when we have these people on college campuses saying, long live the intifada, and globalize intifada, I don't think they understand that they would be coming for them too. I don't think they understand what they're saying. And there is so much, I'll use the word naivete. There is so much lack of understanding and knowledge. And so many that are so quick to jump on the pro-Hamas bandwagon. In New York City, I saw not only Hamas flags and not only Islamic Jihad, but also ISIS. And this connects back to what I said earlier about we're partners with God. And the question is, what are we going to do with our God-given abilities and talents and gifts? What can we do? We can't change everything. We know that. But to say there's nothing I can do, that's not accurate either. Whether it's talking to people and trying to give them some history, if it's reading a book about the Middle East and trying to understand some of the truths about how Jews, our history there, our expulsion twice, how we came back, how we, et cetera, understanding the connection. Maybe it's talking to people or buying a book for somebody else. Maybe it's supporting causes that are trying to help, whether it's college students or just Jews in general, like the ADL, for those who have that ability to financially support organizations. Maybe it's reaching out to people, either if they're our own children or others that we know that are on college campuses, and to say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on your campus? Some are more quiet than others. What I'm saying is there's so much disinformation. And I understand we're up against the internet, we're up against social media that distorts the truth and tells straight out lies. But we cannot have long live the intifada and globalize the intifada. I could share more about that year and the terrorist attacks. I won't. I'll spare you. But that was the same year that people sat down for a Passover Seder and were blown to smithereens. So, yes, it's focused now around Israel. And God forbid it comes, well, I can't say it has, no parts have come here, but I think you understand what I'm saying. We need to act. We need to understand that there are real threats. Our tradition teaches, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin lihibatel mimena. It is not yours, it's not ours to complete the work, but neither are we free to desist from it. In other words, each of us can do something. Let's all do that which we can do to try to address this poisonous situation. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat services will begin tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Our membership team wants to send your grandchild or children greetings for Rosh Hashanah. Please help us reach our Temple Shalom College students by sending your students' mailing address, any type of college, undergrad, graduate, med school, etc., to Nancy Rennick at nancy.rennick@gmail.com. Many thanks to Ellen Gray, Rich Goldwyn, and Harrison Stout for their help this past Sunday. They schlepped many boxes of prayer books, Talmud volumes, and Talitot that are no longer used by Temple Shalom or no longer in usable condition to the Asheron Cemetery and Preston Highway for burial. And there were a lot of boxes. A reminder, make your reservations for our High Holy Day kickoff, Silichot worship services, decorating the sukkah, schmoozing in the sukkah, and adding your loved ones to our Yizkor book. Reservations are not needed for Mitzvah Day, Simchat Torah with Lost Tribe, or our Yizkor service. Our High Holy Day kickoff and Slichot service will take place on Saturday, September 28th at 5:30 p.m. Please join us for a barbecue, s'mores, and changing our Torah covers into their High Holy Day whites. Mitzvah Day, to beautify our grounds ahead of the High Holy Days, will be on Sunday, September 29th from 9 to noon. Light refreshments will be served. And there's plenty of work for everybody around the shul. Thanks to Aviv for leading us in music this evening, and thank you to Rich for streaming services tonight. Please join us in the auditorium for Kiddush Motzi and the Oneg. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue with Elena L'Shabeach, which can be found in the middle of page 282. I ask the congregation to please rise as we open the ark.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, la'teit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא,
284.
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושד יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד,
287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Before we are seated, I'm going to just invite us to read together page 285. If because we chant it all in Hebrew, we don't really read this passage in English, but I think it's really a beautiful passage and perhaps relevant to tonight. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Thank you, and please be seated. At this time, we call to mind our loved ones who live on in our hearts but are no longer physically with us. If you are here to recite Kaddish for a loved one, you're invited to rise when their name is read aloud. Tonight, we remember Laverne Charna, David Florsheim, Ida Kahn Frank, Emma Helft, Frieda Isler, Sylvia Kornstein, Milton J. Morgulin, Sheldon Weinstein, Babette Zimmerman. We're in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, for Harold Les Oxer, Baxter Rhodes, and the Israelis who were murdered in cold blood, Hirsch Goldberg, Eden Yerushalmi, Carmel Gat, Almog Sarusi, Alex Lobanov, and Ori Danino, and also Alvin Kassan. And we're in a period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning, for Davida Levine. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may they rest in peace as we rise together as a congregation, reciting the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'almad v'rach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulamei olmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha barichu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'alma v'yimeru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, please be seated. Our concluding song tonight is an oldie but a goodie, Bim Bam.
Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam.
Turn to someone near you and wish them Shabbat Shalom.
Your guitar playing is coming along nicely.
Thank you. Unfortunately, it's regressing with age. Oh, I know so. There's stuff I can't play anymore. And I can't play at that speed for sure.